How's it going tonight? You guys are funny. Hey, stop. Hey. Stop. Hey, come on, guys. I appreciate you guys are great. I love it. But here's the thing. I mean, okay, well, maybe I should do an introduction first. Maybe that would be helpful. There are some of you who don't know me. My name is Colin Villinueva. I got to spend a lot of time with this ministry, with you guys, over the summer, but I noticed as I was walking through here today, there was actually quite a number of faces I've actually never seen before. So I am a ministry resident here at Pathway Community Church, and I basically just kind of serve as I'm learning how to do ministry. I'm getting my master's right now at Bethel University. So this is an opportunity that Brad and Sav have asked me to kind of step into. So thank you guys for just the warm welcome and just allowing me to be here to speak God's word to you tonight. So we're going through this series right now. Well, we're not going through. We're about to start tonight. We're starting a new series. It's called Follow. And I think this is going to be a really, really, really impactful series for pretty much everybody in here, and I would hope every single person in here. And so I have the pleasure of introducing the series to you guys all tonight. So this is exciting. But before I dive in too deep, I kind of want to start by talking about something that I think is kind of funny. And here it is. I just think that social media relationships are weird. Now I'm not talking about like dating relationships and like romantic relationships that you might have on social media. That is interesting, that's complicated, but that's not the kind of relationship I'm talking about. I'm actually talking about the relationships, like the connection that you have with people on social media and what they term those connections as. So I kind of have a little bit of beef with Facebook. I think Facebook is kind of weird. How many people actually still use Facebook in this room? Let me just get a show of hands here. So not very many people, okay? I get it. I don't really use Facebook that much either. But one thing I think is weird about Facebook is the people that you're connected to on Facebook are called your friends. And it's like, that's not my friend. That's my grandma, you know? Like that's, I love her, you know, so I'm gonna accept that friend request, but that's my grandma. You know, that dude's not my friend. I met him on vacation like 10 years ago. This is somebody I met one time, and now we're friends on Facebook. Now, I'll give Snapchat a little bit of credit here because you're friends on Snapchat too, but I feel like the people that you're snapping on a regular basis are probably actually your friends. Maybe the people that you're watching stories of maybe aren't your friends, but most of the people that you're probably communicating with regularly on Snapchat are friends or family. One that I think is really interesting is TikTok. What are they called on TikTok? Followers, but I think when you look at your page, when you look at how many people are following you, what does it say? Fans, right? It says fans, right? I'm wrong. I don't use TikTok very much. I'm trying to be relevant, okay? You know, I'm trying to relate to the high school students here. But it's weird, right? Like you post a couple of videos and you've got 5 fans. It's like, oh wow, that's that's cool. I don't know. No one's a fan of Colin. This is weird. Like, why would you have? Hey, stop. Okay, but moving on. We kind of talked about followers, though, right? We kind of talked about followers. And this is what Twitter uses to identify, and Instagram is what is used to identify. They call them followers. But this is kind of strange, too. Like, I have 700-ish followers on Instagram, but these are mostly people that have just heard of me. They're not following me. They're not walking behind me, following my life. Most of those, I get like 1/7 the likes of the people that are actually following me on Instagram. Obviously, that many people don't actually care what's going on in my life. And that's not like a pity thing, but that's just a fact. We call them followers, but it's just strange. It's just a strange thing. And then even to add to this, I don't know if you are a part of any like fan bases or anything, but like if you're following like social media celebrities or just celebrities in general, they'll give like names to their fan bases. Like if you're a Justin Bieber fan and you're part of that, you're like a believer, right? Isn't that right? Yes? We got some believers in here? But it's weird. I just think it's weird. I think it's strange that these are the things that we've used to term our relationships with people that we have on social media. And I think there's some tension here. I think there's some actual tension here because most of the relationships that we have on social media are actually not close. Very rarely do we share a close relationship with the people that we have on social media. You know, we're following these people on Instagram maybe because we admire them. Maybe because we just think that person is really cool. Like, maybe I am following Justin Bieber because I'm just the biggest fan of him and I just want to go to his concerts, I want to see what he's up to, I think he's really cool. Maybe I'm following an athlete because I'm trying to keep up with my favorite team and I'm trying to see what this person is doing. Like, we follow people because we admire them. I think it's one reason why we follow them on maybe social media. But other times we follow people just because we bumped into them at school and they're in my class and they said, hey, I'm following you. So then you just say, well, I kind of know this person. I guess I'll just follow them back. You don't really know them that well, but you know of them. Or maybe you think this person is attractive and you're like, well, I don't really know them. I would like to know them, but I'm just going to click follow because he or she is cute. You know, we do those things. And then the other kinds of people that we follow on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, social media that you have, are people that we actually do know a lot about. These people probably would be our friends, and we're actually invested in what's going on in their lives. But the reason why we keep up to date with them on social media is because we're not actually actively involved in their life. And if you were to scroll through their pictures, you would notice that you're probably not in many of them, but you really do like this person, and you really do care to get to know this person. These are the types of people that we follow. And then you have your besties, that you're in every photo with, and your siblings that you're probably in a lot of photos with as well. Maybe you're not in your siblings. Maybe you're like, I don't want people to know that that's my sibling. But here's the tension. And here's why I think this is interesting, especially for us in this room. I think this is going to wow you. I think this is going to wow you for a second. You see, Jesus is calling us to follow him. And the word he's using for follow is not the same word we use regularly when we say we're following somebody. You see, the word Christian actually means Christ follower or little Christ. That's what it means. It's like we're following behind him. We want to be like Christ. We're following behind him. This is not synonymous with being a believer. This is not synonymous. I'm using synonymous. You know what that word is? It's like a synonym. It's like a kind of the same word. Like, this is not the same thing as being a believer, okay? This word follow is not the same word that we use to say I'm following somebody on social media. And this might be hard to hear. I'm being completely honest with you. I know some of you are like, I've never met this guy before. Please go easy. Sorry, I'm not, because I care about you. I think some people in this room here tonight that identify as Christians might not actually identify as a Christ follower. And I'm not trying to make anybody freak out about their salvation. I think there's something different about salvation when we receive Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. We begin that journey of following him. But I think we identify as a Christian, we don't even know what that means to follow him. Because here's the thing. I think there are people in this room that their status with Jesus is that you admire him. You love what he's about. You think Jesus is so cool. You want to follow his page and be like, man, this Jesus guy, I want to identify as a Christian. I want to be a part of his squad. He's so cool. I want to go to those worship nights. I want to come to Impact on Wednesday because I love singing about him. He's so cool. But that's the extent. We just really like him. We think he's really cool. For some of us in this room, the extent of our relationship with Jesus in regards to following him is we just know of him. Maybe our friends know him. We're like, well, I kind of know him because my friends know him, so I'm going to click that follow button, but that's just kind of the extent of our relationship. Like, I kind of want to get to know him, but I don't really know him. I don't really know him that well. And the other kind are the people that know Jesus really, really well. You know him. You're invested in him. But if you were to scroll through his photos, Jesus' photos, you wouldn't find yourself in any of them. Because all you're doing is knowing him. You're not actively participating in what Jesus is doing in the world around you, in your sphere of influence, in your high school, on your sports team. You're not actively participating. You just love getting to know him. So, what exactly is a Christ follower? I mean, I think we should talk about this because I think our language and the way that we talk about what it means to be a follower is maybe I was about to say misconstrued, but you guys don't, that's a big word too. I don't know how to talk. But like it's caused us to misidentify what it means to actually follow Jesus. And so we're going to take a look at a passage in the Bible. It's Mark 1, verses 16 through 20. And I think if we just look at this passage right here, we will learn a lot about what it means to be a Christ follower, so that when we identify ourselves as Christians, we understand what kind of obligation and what that brings us into. So, here's what happens. As Jesus walked, so this is the very start of Jesus' ministry, very, very beginning of Jesus' ministry. And so this is what's happening. He's going around, he's collecting his disciples. And so as Jesus walked beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and his brother Andrew casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. "Come follow me," Jesus said, "and I will send you out to fish for people." At once they left their nets and followed him. When they had gone a little farther, he saw James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John in a boat, preparing their nets. Without delay, he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired men and followed him. See, here's what's happening. Jesus is extending that same invitation to these four guys as he's extending to you tonight. So I think we could probably just put our names in here. It'd probably be helpful. Come follow me, Brendan. Whoever else in here, I just saw Brendan, so I'll just go with that. Here's the thing. These disciples, pre-disciples, understood that when Jesus said, "Hey, come follow me," they would be doing a huge, huge walk with Jesus. They were going to be involved in lots of things that when Jesus was doing. And here's the cool thing. As a high school ministry, we're going to have the opportunity to dive through the book of Mark. And I would really encourage you to participate in this, because you're going to get to see the kind of things that these disciples were involved in with Jesus that'll help us learn what it looks like really to be Jesus followers. But what's happening is that they realize that by making this commitment and going to follow Jesus, they were going to get to do ministry right alongside him. These guys were there when Jesus was casting demons out of people, when he was bringing healing to people, when he was healing the sick, when he was demonstrating who he was, when he was loving people really well. I've experienced the love of God, and these people, they were encountering the love of God. I hope that you've encountered the love of God. These guys were there watching right alongside Jesus and even participating at sometimes. Jesus was having them get involved. That's what this commitment was. This wasn't to just say, "I want you to like me." This is, "Hey, I want you to come do life with me. I want you to come do life with me." And so if we'll go to the slide before, I actually skipped this. But I think if you're going to write down one thing tonight, and this is the only thing that you leave here with tonight, is that followers of Christ do life with Christ. That's what it implies. Not that you clicked follow on the social media page, "I'm now a Christian." It's because you're actively walking in life with Christ and participating in what he has around you. So we'll go back to this Mark 1:16 through 20 passage. Here's the other cool thing about being a disciple. This is the other cool thing about being a disciple. These guys had their life purpose made to be about Jesus. Their whole goal in life was transformed. You see, Jesus knew these guys were fishermen. This was their life's work. This is what they were about. This was their main identity. They were known as fishermen. This is what Jesus says. "Look, I will send you out to fish for people." When you follow Christ and you begin to do life with Christ, your life purpose becomes transformed and your life begins to resemble what Christ wants you to do. That's what it means. Sometimes it means sacrificing things that you don't want to give up. But now all of a sudden you've got a life worth living. You've got a life worth living because you're doing it with Jesus. Something meaningful, helping other people encounter Jesus that you've encountered yourself. The other thing to note is that, look at this. Okay, so Simon and Andrew, they left their nets and went. They just dropped what they were doing and they went and followed Jesus. If we notice, James and John, they left their father and their nets and they left. You see, I want to be honest with you guys, but sometimes following Jesus means that we have to leave things behind. Even maybe things that you think are really, really important. Now, I don't want you to get me wrong. The Bible is very clear on how we're supposed to treat our parents and how we're supposed to respect them and love them. But nothing is more important than doing life with Jesus. And if you have to remove something from your life in order to do it, leave it behind. It's dead weight. You don't want it anyway. But that's what it means. You might have to leave some things behind. And it was immediate. It was immediate. Some of you tonight might need to make a decision to do this right now. Don't leave here tonight without making a decision to say, hey, I'm leaving this behind. But here's the last thing that I want to point out, is that these guys had to choose to be active in Jesus' ministry. See, he's inviting these dudes in pairs. He's inviting these guys in pairs. And wouldn't it have been interesting if when Jesus said, hey, James, John, come follow me, James looked at John and said, okay, John, you go follow him, and then you just tell me what it's like being with Jesus. You see, I bet your friend sitting next to you is being called by Jesus. Jesus is saying, hey, I want you to come and follow me. He's saying to that person, come follow me. He's also saying it to you too. Don't miss out on that opportunity. Follow Jesus. Don't let your faith be your friend's faith. Go experience Jesus for yourself. That's when real life change begins to happen. I can sit here, here on stage, and tell you everything that Jesus has ever done in my life, but I don't want you guys to just have your faith based on my testimony. I want you to experience what it looks like to live a life with Christ yourself. But that requires you to follow him. It requires you to follow him. And so, I want you guys to think about this and be honest, be open with yourself. What kind of Christ follower are you at this moment? You know, some of you in this room, you may have been at one point following Jesus really, really closely. Really, really closely, but maybe now you're looking at your life and you're like, I don't know about this. I don't know if I've been as close to him as maybe I should be right now. Maybe that Christ is calling me to get a little closer and do some things maybe I'm uncomfortable with, but I've kind of backed off. Maybe some of you in this room, you just have been so obsessed with this God guy who did all these amazing things, that's done all these cool things for you. I mean, here's the cool thing about Jesus. He paid for everything wrong you've ever done in life. He's the God of the universe, and he says you're valuable. There's a million different things for us in this room to get excited about Jesus about. Like, it really is an exciting thing. Jesus is an exciting guy. And I will be honest, I admire Jesus a lot. But I don't want that to be the extent of the relationship that I have with him. And some of you have been going to church maybe for a long time, and you've known of this Jesus guy for a long time, but you haven't decided to jump in and say, I want to have a relationship with you, Jesus. I want to follow you, Jesus. And some of you in this room know Jesus really, really well, and Jesus is calling you to actively participate on his mission, in your school, on your sports team, at your work. And he's saying, hey, I want you to go talk to this person about me. I want you to help lead this person. I want you to be a comfort for this person. I want you to participate actively in the mission that I'm doing because God is at work and he wants you to be a part of it. Maybe tonight's the night where you say, yes, Jesus, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to school tomorrow on mission with you. I want to share with you a moment that I had. You see, I've been a Christian since I was in middle school. I've been a Christian for a very long time. But it took me until my senior year of college to really understand this principle. You see, I was talking to God, and I'm like, God, I don't know your voice. I don't know, I can't hear you. Why am I not, I feel like my life has no purpose. I mean, I'm a Christian, God, I've got a great relationship, but I just feel like my life's not adding to anything. I can't hear you. I don't know where you're leading me. God, I don't know. I'm like, I've been walking with him since 8th grade. I've been, trying my best, I thought. And then God said, Colin, I want you to follow me. I want you to lay down yourself, and I want you to follow me. It was on a mountain in Denver, Colorado. It was on top of a mountain. It was a really cool experience. It was the first time in my life I think I got on my knees and said, Jesus, I want my life to be about you and your mission and your kingdom, and I want to be a part of all the really cool things that you're doing. I don't want to be left out. And I think as I began to follow Jesus closely, I've been able to see really amazing things. I've been able to learn what God's voice sounds like because I've been walking with him. I'm trying to follow him. I've been learning. It's been amazing. And that experience for me happened on top of a mountain, but it can happen for you right here in this room right now. It's not been perfect. Sometimes I've realized I've not been following Jesus. I've been following myself. I mean, you can ask my wife. Sometimes she's got to check me, and she's like, Colin, where are you at with the Lord right now? And sometimes I have to be honest, I'm like, I've been doing the best. But it's okay. It's okay, Jesus still loves me. Jesus still cares about me. And he's saying, Colin, look, follow me. At any point in that journey, those disciples could have chosen to stop following Jesus. As a matter of fact, as you'll learn as we begin to read through Mark, one of them did. We have to begin to make this decision quite constantly to follow Jesus. And so, I hope there's something stirring inside of you right now. That there's a passion, that there's a drive, that there's something in there where you're like, man, God, you are calling me to go do that, and I want to be a part of that with you. I really want to begin to know what it looks like to walk alongside you. I don't want to just identify as a Christian. I don't want to just sing songs about, hey, what do we sing? We sang a song about being crucified with Jesus. We sang a song about if I'm in the fire, you were there too. Jesus, I want to have a faith that's not just I'm singing these songs. I want a faith that lives that out. So here's the thing, Impact. Right now, Jesus is looking at you and he's saying, come, follow me. How are you going to respond? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to end the night in prayer, and I'm just going to ask that you would open your arms right now, and you would receive whatever God has for you right now. I'm going to pray a couple things, but this is between you and Jesus right now. This is just between you two. Respond however you want, and if you're like, you know what, Colin, I think what you just said was great. I'm not buying it. That's fine. That's fine. That's for you and Jesus. But for those of you who want to begin to take a step, I would encourage you, don't let tonight pass you by. Don't let this opportunity to say, Jesus, I want to follow you, pass you by. Let's go ahead and do this. Jesus, there are some of us in this room right now that have never had a relationship with you before, that have been coming to Impact maybe for a while, and they've been hearing about this Jesus that died on a cross for them, that they could have a life worth meaning, or that they could spend eternity in heaven with you. Jesus, that they don't no longer have to die, suffer death, and they can have meaning in their life. Jesus, for those people in the room right now that want to enter into a relationship with you, God, I just lift them up and I say, Lord, yes, please. For people in this room right now that have just been walking this faith as an admiration journey, and they just think, Jesus, you're really cool, and they love singing songs, but Jesus, they want to begin to look, to understand and look like what it takes to follow you, Lord. I pray for them as well, that they would just receive you with open arms, and that this God that they've been adoring and admiring for so long, Lord, that they would actively jump in and participate in, and would just be just so in love with you, God, that they're loving you right next to you and they're doing life with you. God, for the people in this room that may have just known of you, maybe they said a prayer once and just said, hey, Jesus, I want you to be in my life. And then they clicked that follow button, and that was the end of their relationship with you, God. And then those people are feeling it, and they're like, God, I want to begin to follow you. Lord, I pray for them as well, that they would receive you with open arms right now, and they would grab your hand, get out of that boat, and go walk with you. And Jesus, for the people in this room that maybe were really intently following you at one point, and maybe aren't as closely anymore, or they know you deeply, they've been studying your word, God, they've become an Impact, and they just love talking about you, and they love getting to know you, Lord. But they're not actively participating in mission with you. And they know that you're calling them to something. God, I pray that they would respond as well, that you would receive them, Lord. And that Impact can be turned as a whole into this place where people are experiencing life change for your kingdom, Lord, and that these students would be on mission for you when they go back to their classroom, when they go back to their sports teams. And these sports teams and these workplaces and these schools would have a bunch of little Christs running around. People that love the best. They don't just identify as Christians, but they're loving and they're living like you, Jesus. Because that's what this is about. This is about Jesus. We want to be followers of Christ that do life with Christ. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.